This is for you to listen to whilst you're traveling, just trying to kill a little bit of time, or if you're just needing some company. Today's episode is with Vicky Laflin, a rugby player for Ealing Trailfinders. I'll be honest with you, this is not a Christmas episode. As always, total transparency. This episode is not festive, and it's not one of those best of 2025 end of year shows. This is a conversation, and it felt like a good time to share. All I ask for you is just to be here. We talk about pressure, identity, changing lanes in sport, as well as life, and all the stuff that sits underneath that. And of course, the things that you think about when it all goes quiet. We're not here to fix anything today. This is a conversation with someone who I respect massively. Let's get into it. At the time of recording, you just returned to playing with a try and try assist against the all-conquering, unbeaten in a year, Gloucester Hartpury team. Is it good to be back?
Yeah, no, it was really nice. Obviously a bit stressful playing the top of the table. I was like, oh, what a game to come back into. Like, God, that's really challenging. I think we played quite well as a team. Like, it was fun to play. I had a nice time. So it was definitely positive, just annoying that we didn't win.
Yeah, I felt really, really like conflicted.
Yeah.
Obviously, I have a vested interest in Gloucester Hartpury.
Yeah.
And like the more time's gone on, I'm like, oh, I'm like really in with the girls.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, then I was sat here and then you went over the line. I was like, yes. And I'm like, oh, hang on, I better sit back down.
I had that a lot from quite a few people that are living around Gloucester and Worcester. And they're like, yeah, we support Gloucester and you. And I was like, oh, I'll get.
Well, let's get into it. So I want to walk through your story, a bit about you and your playing career. So you started your career out at Worcester Warriors. Without bringing the tone down, I want to take you back to a bit of a dark day in certainly the club's history and probably your life as well. And it was back in October 2023 when the women's side of the operation finally folded after years of financial troubles. Take me back to that point in life. What was it like?
Yeah, obviously it wasn't great. It was kind of like weird. I remember the day happening quite clearly. Like, we literally went out to train. We had already like gymmed, done skills. We're literally going on to the pitch to train and we got called back in. And some of the younger girls were like, oh no, we're about to get shouted at for not cleaning the ice baths or something like that. I was like, no, this is, when you just know, you get that feeling. Like, me and my friend both looked at each other and we were like, something's not right here, because you don't get pulled back from training. I tried to look at Joey App, she wouldn't look at me. I was like, oh God. I was like, this isn't good. Like, went into the room and then we just got told like it was all ending. And I think it was the weirdest thing for like something to be taken away from you that you have completely no control over. I think that was the strangest part of it. And there was like nothing we could do about it. Like, imagine having something that's been your every single day for however many years. Like, I'd been there 6 years. And then suddenly one day someone goes, that's it, you're done. Like, it was just so strange. Like, I can't even explain the feeling. Like, you're just so out of control and it's just heartbreaking, really.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that like, I'm not a Worcester native, but I have lived here now. And like, there are still scars. Still scars. And even though, okay, the men's operation is back, and I know that they're looking at, bringing the women back as well. But like, there are a lot of people that are very like anxious and apprehensive. And that's just from me kind of like talking to people from a fan's point of view. So with the people who have a vested interest, whether that, it's you as a player, you coach, or even like people in the commercial office, that gets ripped away with you and you don't really get to say anything about it.
Yeah.
What, for you, how does that, like, when you look back at that time, is there any kind of like overarching, feelings, thoughts, emotions, memories that you carry with you today?
Yeah, like, obviously it was completely heartbreaking. Like, it was like going through a breakup, but with like not a person, like a thing and like a feeling. And like, you've gone through a breakup with like so many people around you. But I think the nicest part of it was like, we found out that we were done and they were like, no, you're like done. This is it. You're not training again. And we all were like sobbing, mind. And we all like went on the pitch. We were like, let's just go play some like fun rugby. And we were like sobbing, but playing rugby on the pitch. Like, some people were crying, some people were laughing. And it was kind of like, it was just like surreal, where it was kind of like we all knew that it was getting taken away from us, but we just couldn't quite let it go. And then there was like a couple of weeks afterwards that we all just kept going back, like, because obviously the whole ground was barren, but we could still get in. So we'd all go in and gym together. We'd just play sad songs. And it was kind of like, even though everything went so poorly, we knew we weren't in control of it. Like, we knew what we could control. And that was like being together, spending time together. Like the evening that we found out it was done, we went to the pub. It was a Monday night. We all got steaming. I was like, I don't care. I could turn up to like work hungover. And it's like, even to this day, like we're still holding on to the group of people that it was. Like it was so shit. And I'm so mad about what happened. Like I will never change the people that I'm surrounded with. Like we play other teams now and we're still like, Worcester. And like all the coaches are like, let it go. And we're like, never, never let it go.
And I guess that's like, and it's, you've jumped the gun a little bit on something. But we'll come back to it in a minute. But it's that idea of like the cohesion of the group. Obviously,
Yeah.
from like a playing point of view, but you need those bonds, you need those, like that connection. And it's like a large group of you that, you know, it's almost impossible for you to then not like end up bumping into each other at games and stuff like that. So it's really like, I can't imagine what that situation was like. Like if you just come to the end of your contract and you're like, I'm going to swear, or, you know, you get picked up by a bigger club, that's a very different kettle of fish and you want to move on, develop in whatever way. But no, that's obviously a really tricky thing to come into. You have that news, you're out on the pitch, you go to the pub, beers, considerable amount of beers, and you know, those days after, what was that like for you?
Yeah, like it was hard. Like you just kept thinking about it. Like you were like, oh, it's fine, that's fine. And then you were like, oh no, like my day's different. Like, because obviously my schedule, like rugby takes a lot of my time. Like I train 3 to 4 times a week and then I play on the weekend. Like it was like my day is completely different because that was on a Monday. We were meant to have training on a Tuesday. So then like I was in work and I was a bit like, oh, like what the hell? And like no one knew. Like no one officially knew because obviously we'd been told first. It was due to come out, I think, on the Wednesday or the Tuesday. Like it was coming out quite quick. And I remember going into work and I was like, I'm fine, I'm fine. And then like I saw Bron, my friend, and I like told her and just like burst out crying. And I was just like, what? And like how surreal, like how can I just not control it? And it was just, yeah, it's worse than a breakup, I'd say. Like breakup's pretty shit and you're sad, but it's kind of like you're aware of the situation. But yeah, I was just like, I think I was just mad. I couldn't control it and there was nothing I could do to change it. And like that one person's just come in and decided that's the end of it. And I was like, that's just not fair. Like, I can't have that. So you go through such waves of like sadness, grief, anger through like the next days.
So, you know, 2 and a bit years on, how do you feel about that situation now? How's that charged for you?
Yeah, like I still, like if anyone mentions it, like I'll still fight it to this day that like it was heartbreaking. Like I'm still sad about it. I think it just really changes your perspective on like life and everything. Like I think it's like never take anything you've got that's good for granted. And like I'll always cherish those days and those years. But like I kind of think sometimes like although it was shit and sad, like everything does happen for a reason. Like it's pushed me to do things different. Like I've moved to London, I've gone to a new club, like potentially something I might not have done. Like I've been at Worcester for so long and it was so good and comfortable. Like it breaks my heart and I wish I was still there at some days, but then some days I'm like, actually, maybe this change was good for me. So it's kind of like a massive learning curve. But it was, yeah, I think about it regularly. It's never going to leave me.
And I think that's a testament to what it means. Is, you know, there may or there may not have been people in that group who are like, okay, well, that's it.
Yeah.
And move on.
Yeah.
With the next thing. That, I think that's a testament of what it meant to you and what the club had obviously given you, breaking through, you know, being a young hot shot in the league kind of thing. So you come to this point and you don't have a club. What's running through your head?
Yeah.
Like the whole idea of what's next. I think that's certainly from, you know, my point of view. It's a question I ask myself a lot. And, you know, whether that's from like a personal point of view, from a career point of view, there's a lot of like, what's next? And it's something that we talk a lot about on the show, is this idea of like, what's next? So what was that like process for you? Obviously it's very painful, very like hard thing to kind of like pick up and touch metaphorically. What were you starting to think about?
At first, it was kind of like hard because we just finished, I think, the cup season, and then there was a couple of weeks off. So we had a lot of players that weren't even back from international duty yet. And then we had a couple of weeks now, it was going to the Prem season. So what was really difficult, it was kind of like you wanted to be sad and grieve and hold on to it still, but like you knew you had to move on. My view was there was like 60 players that have just been cut. And all the Prem clubs are technically full because it was the start of the season. So it was like pure panic of can actually any clubs take us? Do they have any financial support that they can offer us? And like, am I about to pick up and move my entire life to a different place in England because my club's just gone under, but it's not my full-time job. It's not my full-time everything. Like, I'm not a pro athlete, but I've got to move because it's kind of like, if I don't move, I'll get left behind. And it's kind of like, I wanted to sit and do nothing and like grieve and be sad, but it was kind of like I had to be savage, make a decision and pick a team and go there. And it was hard. Like, speaking to all the coaches, I was very honest where I was just like, not going to be the material self in the first couple of months. But I think, yeah, all the coaches were quite good where they understood the shit situation and how we were going to be coming in. But yeah, it was kind of like, you got to pick yourself up and you've got to move on, but still be aware of the stuff you've gone through.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's a lot in there, like around about what you're saying about, you know, like being honest with where you're at. Like, that's not necessarily a recipe for, you know, performing at your absolute highest like level that you possibly have within you. But it's also, you know, getting in. So obviously, like, feel free to share what you can, what you can't, what you're open to. But with that, like, decision making progress, what were you kind of looking for from an opportunity? Like, did you have like teams or like criteria in mind that you were looking at?
If I was honest, like, I didn't have a massive criteria. The main thing I had is I wanted to look for another team with a good culture. Like, Worcester, we didn't necessarily win. We weren't necessarily the best, but everyone knew that we had the best culture and the best kind of team. Like, it was such a family, and that's why it was so hard that it went. When I was moving to a new club, I was like, I need somewhere that I'm going to feel home because I've just come from something that's gone wrong. I'm going to be quite like vulnerable and sensitive coming into this new environment. I need to feel comfortable where I'm going. And then also, like, I thrive in an environment where I feel comfortable and confident. So it was kind of like looking at a place where I feel like I could belong, like with players, but also under the coaches. Like, you need to have a coach that will believe in you and also want you to be the best person you can be as well. So it was making sure like I kind of valued up all those options at each club, and then kind of you got to go where you got at the end.
Definitely. And, you know, I hear what you're saying there about like the culture and, you know, feeling like a family. What do you think is like about culture? Like, what do you look for in a culture, and what like different roles do you think that you can play within that sort of environment?
I think the massive thing of culture is like, one, obviously getting on with people, like feeling comfortable and feeling like you can be your 100% vulnerable self, I think is key. But then it's also being like feeling safe enough that like, you know, the people around you want you to be the best person and athlete you can be. So they're going to like call you out. They're going to make you better. Like, they're going to push you. Like, they're not just going to let you coast, but then also like, competition in elite sport is bound to happen, but it's like, it's healthy. But it's like, I've always been like best friends with people in my position, and sometimes people struggle with that. And I think, like, I want to be at a place where if I'm competing with someone, if they've played better than me, yeah, hats off to you. Now I've got to be better than you. Like, it's a healthy competition, which creates a good environment. Like, everyone wants you to succeed, and we push each other to be the best people and athletes we can be.
Yeah, definitely. And like, you know, I kind of like earn for environments like that. And it's that like, yeah, we're best mates, but like, if you're doing something not necessarily wrong, but like, if you're not showing up in a way that's like right, like, you're gonna get
Yeah,
cool.
I'll call you out for it.
It's not there about being shouted at. Like,
No, no.
obviously everyone has like different ways of it. Well, do I personally think that just sitting there and getting shouted at is the best way to kind of like pull out good performance and also like good internally? No. Like, I know
Yeah,
for me, I'll need a word in the ear, and I'm like,
yeah,
of course, I get it.
yeah. I'm with you now.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, let's get straight back into that situation. You know, something that we'll come back onto a little bit later on. We're going all over the place. I kind of thought we might anyway. You know, I'm a big believer in like, I love sport. I love sport. And I think that actually even the average person, not necessarily average person, but there is stuff that someone off the street can take away from their favorite sports team. Like, I not only love the match days, the big events, the title fight, the dramatic moments, but it's also like the commercial side, because I'm a bit of a weirdo like that. And the the culture, the mindset, the
Yeah,
how people tick, but like, that's what I love. And I think there is actually a lot that we can take away from that and pick it up and pop it down into our own lives. Now, am I, playing in a Premier competition tomorrow? No, I'm not. Get a call. Get on the plane to France. Okay, sure thing. Like it's having that honest conversation with
Mhm.
yourself. Like, well, actually, like, what can I take from this? Whether it's a phrase or whether it's something along those lines. But like I said, we'll come back to that, because otherwise we'll be just going around in circles for hours and hours on end. Bringing it back. So you make the decision to sign with Ealing Trail.
Mhm.
What was it that really stood out from all of the other clubs that were on offer to you?
I think there was a few things. One, obviously Ealing were new. They were like a brand new team. Like the idea of kind of they were starting afresh. They were obviously trying to show people that they could be up there, like it was new. It's kind of exciting. Like being a part of a whole group of random people brought together, I think was quite exciting and interesting to me. Like you're joining a new environment where you can kind of make the history of how this club goes. That was quite cool. Two, I knew quite a few people there already. Obviously, the rugby was quite small. I knew a lot of people everywhere, but there's quite a lot of people there where I was like, "Oh, like, this is a really cool team, this really cool setup, like, I like these people, like, I think I could get on with these people, and I think they could, like, help me and I could help them." And then, like, speaking to Giselle, who was the coach at the time, firstly, Jayat was my coach at Worcester, like, adored her as a coach, and Giselle and Jayat are best friends. So I was kinda like, "If you 2 get on, surely you're, like, caring." I think speaking on the phone, like, all the coaches I spoke to were genuinely, like, lovely, like, they really were kind and, like, fair about the situation, but Giselle just kind of she made me feel really heard, like, she fully understood the situation, and she was very, like, patient with me, like, it took me like, I spoke to quite a few different teams to really, like, gauge my choices, and I was very much like, "Oh, I need, like, a time to think about this through," and she really gave me, like, that time, was patient, and allowed me to kind of think through it myself, so I think it was kinda like, just I was like, "Maybe this feels like where I need to go." Kinda and then I was just like, "Oh god, I just gotta pick one now."
Yeah, and I think, like I said, it's under some of those boxes that tick it for you. Like, it's that environment and almost like the journey that you're gonna go on. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sitting here and thinking, if you've kind of got all of these essentially random groups of people that are then brought together, and then you've kind of just been disbanded and chucked by
Yeah,
the wayside, inverted commas. Like, I'm sure that kind of like idea of like coming together and rebuild,
yeah,
going on a journey together is really, really important. The next thing, obviously, you move to a new city. You've moved from Worcester to London, Ealing, very different places. You've moved to a completely new club, and obviously, there's this kind of pressure to settle in and get yourself in the swing of things, per se. So how did you go about doing that? Because moving to a new city is a big thing. Moving to a club's a new thing. Off the back of what's happened is another big thing. So there's a lot of kind of turning cogs here. So how did you go about bringing that together to be where you are today?
I think I really tried to be quite vulnerable with the people in the team and just be, like, my, like, authentic self and try really just get on with everyone. Like, obviously, because it was a new team, it did kind of help. Most people were new to everyone, so everyone kind of wanted to get to know everyone. So that was helpful. But it was kind of like just being friendly to everyone, chatting to anyone and everyone I could to make myself feel most comfortable, like, just fully immersing myself as much as I could. And then just kind of trying to say yes to everything as much as possible. Like if they were going to do something, yeah, sure, I'll come. If you're going to do this, yeah, sure, I'll come. Like at first, I was traveling, when I first moved, I was still traveling from Worcester. So that was a bit harder, but it was kinda like, "Fine, I'll get back late, but actually, if I spend a bit more time with these people in this team, then I'll feel a bit more comfortable later on." So it was kinda like just putting myself in uncomfortable situations, which I knew would benefit me more afterwards. And then, like, the first couple months, it was just kinda like, you just gotta ride this wave, like, I felt like shit, accepting that I felt like shit. Like, it was really hard as well because Worcester went under in around, like, November. It was, like, winter. So then I'm driving to London in winter, it's pitch black. I'm at a new club. All it seems is dreary and sad, and I'm just trying to be positive. So it's just trying to like see the positives in anything, but also like feeling how I'm feeling and accepting that I'm sad. But yeah, it was just kind of chucking myself into everything I could. So then I would feel more comfortable at the end of the day. And I do think it worked.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, it's these little kind of compounding factors. Like we said, obviously you got these big sort of like new city, new club, what happened at Worcester. But there's all these little things of like, it's dark and dreary. You know,
It's awful.
I do think that even just like that as an isolated thing, like it's hard to deal with. Like most people leave the house in the morning, and if it's not dark, it's not
Too.
it's not, you know, there's a crack of, it's still dark. You know, in time that you're leaving to come back home again, same story.
Yeah.
Exactly, which is obviously a hard situation within its. Certainly, that's one of my battles at the moment, which we want to push through and move forward with. If you kind of had to pinpoint one thing that was like the hardest for you, and then how did you overcome that?
I think it was probably like at first it was like accepting, like I was in a new space, but I was still sad. And I think it was kind of like having to accept that just because I'd like moved on as such and gone to a new club, that I still felt really sad and I still like missed Worcester. And I think it was kind of like I really struggled with it. Like it took me months. Like I felt like I forgot what the saying is, but like I felt so like fake in myself because like I was enjoying Ealing and I was like happy because if we do well or we played well or I had a good time, and then I'd feel like guilty that I felt happy because obviously I was sad that Worcester had gone. So then it was kind of like I was having this like complete emotional internal battle between being happy that this team's going well and there's nice new people, but then also being anxious because there's new people, but then sad that I just lost a club that I'd been at for so long and absolutely adored and loved everyone there. So it was kind of like the whole internal battle of emotion. And then it like the overcoming it, it was just kind of like it just hit a point where I just had to accept what had happened with Worcester, really like acknowledge it, accept that I was sad, but then like allow that feeling so that then I could move forward. So I think once I'd kind of got to a point where it was like, it's not going to change. Like just because I move on doesn't mean I didn't care. And I think it's that kind of thing where I'm like, no, like it is fine. This is what's going to let me grow further.
Yeah, it's almost like letting go of that resistance.
Because you think you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, the more you kind of hold on and try and really push through it, like it feels like the right thing to do because you don't want to lose that thing, but you start to turn in that grip and things start to kind of like flow a bit differently. You start to zig when you've always zagged. Now, do you think that moving more towards the present day, you know, you've been at the club for, you know, year and a half, 2 years, whatever. How do you feel that you're in like the same place, or is it just like a completely different environment? Every club has its own kind of culture.
I think, yeah, like we always make a joke. I was like, no, nothing would ever be the same as what it was at Worcester. I think we were so close, but I think that's because of like how like almost like isolating it is. Like Worcester's a very small place. Like you're obsessed with it there, so that's kind of all we kind of had was the rugby and then the people around it, and like it's kind of there. So I think, yeah, I think Ealing's given me a whole different perspective. I think I'm so grateful that I'm here because I've made some like my closest friends, like complete new people that I would have never crossed paths with. And I think it's a complete different environment. Like there's some unreal athletes from all over the world that I now train and play with. And they're so kind and I learn about their culture. So it's learning about their values and their culture, which is different to what Worcester was. So it's kind of, yeah, it's different but similar. So still really good people and a really good culture, but in a different way. And I think that's what's great. It's kind of like learning new things about a load of different people.
Yeah, totally. And like, I think we're very similar in that aspect. Look, I love that stuff. Like, tell me why that is with you. Like, tell me about it. Like, I want to know. Like, it's those things that are, for me, that just like juice me up in an essence of life, if you will. Even if that's a word, I don't really know. But what would you say is next for you? Like, what have you got on your kind of like horizon? What do you want to achieve in the next few years?
Next few years, God. Obviously, I still want to like play and perform at the highest level I can be and like push myself to be the best athlete and person I can be. If I do that, and then hopefully there's the horizons of like Red Roses or Sevens, like that's obviously a bonus. Like that would be unreal. It's always a goal in the back of my mind, is like making red roses, hopefully long term, hopefully an Olympics for sevens. You never know. Dream big. And then I think aside from rugby, it's kind of like putting myself first, like going on those holidays, making sure I take time away. Like rugby takes so much of my time. It's like, I think as I've gotten older, it's kind of changing my perspective where it's like, yes, rugby can be everything, but it doesn't have to be everything. Like, I don't want to be that person that when I go to a social event, all I speak about is rugby. Like, I want to be able to tell you about my other things I've done, how I've spent time with my friends, like, and gone on holiday. So it's two very different like goals for me, like aspiration goals in rugby. Absolutely, like roses, sevens, Olympics up there, but it's making sure I do me as well, and that I'm happy with that.
That's cool. Like, I always like I'm always rooting for you on the pitch, but I always love seeing that like all of a sudden you've just gone Portugal or you're in Budapest. I love that you almost seem to just pop up in that as random place, and I was like, go on.
My favourite is when people are like, "When did you book that?" I'm like, "Oh, about 4 days ago." Rugby makes you learn to plan things quickly because they're like, "Oh, you got a week off now," so you're like, "Holiday."
The amount of times that I've had that conversation with people in the rugby world is ridiculous, and it goes insane absolutely every single time. It's hilarious.
We're so good at planning last minute holidays because they'll give you a schedule, but you never believe the schedule. The schedule changes, so you never book anything until just before when they're like, "No, no, no, it actually is a week off." So you're like, "Cool, I will go now."
Amazing. Kind of bringing it back to a point that we spoke about a little bit earlier on, was taking stuff away from like from an elite environment, from a high performing environment, and kind of like plugging that into your everyday. Now that doesn't mean like running a crazy Bronco time, or that you have to be snatching X, Y, and Z in the gym. Like, the way I see it is, people live this day in, day out. Like, there is a lot of sporting environments are very much like more access. You look at like the success of like the kind of like seeing into people's lives, whether that's kind of through their own like personal channels, or you look like kind of more big picture with regards to something like Drive to Survive and those kind of like spin-offs of that series, where it's like you see the behind the scenes, you see the frustration, you see the anger, you see having a laugh over a coffee. You also then see like someone going on an absolute like losing their head over like a frustrating situation, and like the journey and what people go through. And like it is quite easy to be like, okay, well, I really like kind of like that thought that thought pattern, that way of phrasing something, and kind of just being more like open to these environments. So kind of laying that out on the table, what do you find works for you, and how do you say focus on, again, inverted commas, the plan, when you might not be feeling like sticking to the plan, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like prioritizing the right things. Like, I think I've always been like busy. I'm always busy. Like, I've got rugby takes up like 90% of my time, but I obviously still work as well, but I still need to socialize. That's really important. So, something I always got taught is the value of like priorities and like what's important, but making sure that if this much of is taking this much of my energy, I still need to value this. So, like, rugby might take 80% of my 1 week, but I might be absolute knackered, don't want to do anything, but it's really important that I still socialize or I still see friends. So it's kind of staying on track is based off like how well I balance myself. Like, if I drive myself into the floor because all I'm doing is rugby, then I'm not going to get my best out of myself. Like, you have to balance what is important to thrive in rugby, but also what's important for me to feel good, and like making sure like I work so I still have money. You just have to make sure you stay on top of everything. I plan everything, to-do lists. I just feel like I'm prepared so that then I can be less stressed. Like, it's almost like preempting everything. Like, we know how busy we are. So then I can stay channeled and engaged when I need to be 100%. And then when I take that step away, I switch off. I'm not thinking about it, because otherwise, when I go to it, I'll hate it. It's just making sure you have that balance.
Would you say there is a direct correlation between how you are within yourself and if you're feeling good and how well you perform?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely, especially for women. I think it's more as women. Like, I think if we're feeling crappy, tired, like, I don't feel confident in myself, I will not perform. Like, I think it's all based on my like mental thoughts. So like, if I feel like I'm good and I feel confident and I know I'm going to play well, I do. If I feel like I'm doubting myself or I'm a bit anxious, like that's when I start like hesitating and making mistakes. Like rugby's such an intuition sport, like where you like go off of like a split second decision. You need to feel confident that the decision you're making is the right one, whether it is or not.
Yeah, definitely. And even just watching the game, like just obviously using rugby as the example, like you look at how quickly things unfold and, you know, your reaction to not to actually do something instead of kind of being stood there like, what? Versus like not only being able to react and like catch the ball more than likely, but then be able to do something positive and go on a break, or you know, you make the tackle or you make the intercept or whatever. That like mental like cognition to you is just like, it's like doing the washing up. You just do it. It's like, what? Yeah, off the tires. Yeah, I think that's really important. And you know, I can, again, not in the same environment, but I can definitely, you know, there is like similar to like, I'm very similar in the way that like performance looks different.
Mm,
I know that, oh, if I'm feeling a certain way,
mm,
or if there's a certain narrative, that will end up manifesting in the situation. If I'm doubting myself, whether I know it or not, that will show.
yeah.
Yeah. So what is it that you, I know we said about prioritizing. I love what you said about that, like, because one of my biggest pet peeves, and it is a massive thing, certainly in the corporate world, and it just like annoys me when people say it, it's like, well, everything's a priority, everything's really important, but like, no, priority
Yeah.
literally by definition means one. Like it's one and
Totally.
two, then three. And that can move, like I said, and you know, that's awesome. But is there any, what specifically do you find you do to really help you be consistent and really helps you gain the edge? Not necessarily just within on the pitch, within training, like across the board. Is there any like specific actions that you take?
I would probably say like always smiling and having fun. Like I'm such an enjoyment and like happiness player. Like I play female sport. I don't do it because I'm gonna get rich. Like I don't do it because it's gonna like necessarily benefit me in the future. Like I do it because I enjoy it and I like being around my friends. Like at the end of the day, it is just a stupid game that we play with a rugby ball and run around the pitch. Like I think sometimes just taking that pressure off myself and just like stripping it back and just being like, no, actually like take a second, smile, have a good time, like you're doing great. That then I think keeps me in line and like makes me feel better about myself. And then that's where I think I then become a bit more consistent. Like if I just keep being my biggest hype girl, then I think I feel better and then I'll perform better. When I start like knocking myself down or like questioning myself, that is when the like performance will start to slip.
Amazing. Is everything I've got for you. Thank you so much. It's been really insightful to kind of like pick your brains and walk through your story. Admittedly, some of it is really shit, but I think we shifted that energy into like positivity, performance, like, and what's going well now and what's exciting for the future. And I can't wait to see it unfold. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Before I go, wanted to genuinely say a massive thank you. Thank you for giving me your time and attention, two of your most valuable assets in this world. And it's something I do not take lightly. I really appreciate it. Wherever you are listening from, whatever situation you may be in right now, I truly hope this gives what you need today. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas, whatever that looks like for you today. And as the new year comes around, I hope it brings a bit more calm for you, a bit more clarity, and fewer reasons to rush. Take care.